ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वाम् अनुसन्दधामि। भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। My namaskars to you all who are listening this talk on Srimad Bhagavad Gita. We are deliberating upon verses from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 16. Verse number 3 onwards. So this chapter is very popular, especially to be taught to the students. Because it talks very clearly, very distinctively about the qualities to be possessed, to be acquired, and to be cultivated, and the natures which are to be rejected. So, it doesn't mean that it is meant for children. Rather, it means for the people in the world. This is to introspect, observe and analyze our own behavior and mind. And very clearly, Bhagavan in the beginning itself, here in the 4th verse, he will say, fifth verse. That what is the implication, what he must look for, why he is telling this to Arjuna, what Arjuna must look for, while he is enunciating, extolling these ideas. So that he can, Arjuna, or for that matter any individual, can verify, can analyze his own behavior and actions, and accordingly curate them, keeping in view the goal in or destiny it will take that individual to. So this Adhyaya, its title is दैव आसुर संपद विभाग योग. Daivasura Sampad Vibhag Yoga. Daiva, that is which is divine, Asura, which is Asuri, meaning demoniacal. Asuram, Sampadam. Here Sampadam is wealth, yes, but also here it means the characteristic. So this third, only until now there were two verses. Abhayam Sattva Sanshuddhi, Jnana Yoga Vyavasthiti, Danam Damascha Yajnascha, Swadhyaya Tapa Arjavam. So this is being told about these first three verses are about the Daivi Sampat. So this is the first verse. The second verse is Ahimsa Satyam Akrodha Tyagah Shanti Apaishunam Daya Bhuteshu Alolupvam Mardavam Hri Achapalam. This is the second verse. So, because it is not necessary that this verses has to be understood before somebody can understand the third verse, that's why we are not taking these verses again or touching upon them as we generally usually do. When there is something, the continuity of the thought is to be understood, at that time we do. So we are not doing it here because it is not necessary at this point. So third verse reads here as Teja Kshama Dhruti Shaucham Adroho Nati Manita Bhavanti Sampadam Daivim Abhijatasya Bharata. So it is said, these are the virtues being extolled. In continuation with what is being told in verse number first and second. Additionally, what virtues are being told here? And he says, they are the Daivi Sampat. Not only that, he says, they would be Sampat. Bhavanti Sampadam Daivim Abhijatasya Bharata. The one who is born to this divine character. So they would be endowed, they would be born with these kinds of qualities. So what is being told earlier too, in addition to that, now, Tejaha, Kshama, Dhrutihi, Shaucham, Adroho, or Adroha, Nati Manita. So Teja, that is, it is explained as vigor, not the brightness of the skin, it is not the appearance, it is not the look. Though indeed, it manifests as a look when there is a virtue, when there is a character, it manifests in the countenance of the people. Manifests as the physiognomical character of the people, definitely. That's why people can understand seeing other people when sighted at the first instance. So Teja here is vigor, it is not pertaining to the skin color. Kshama, that is forgiveness. Explained further here by Bhagavan Shankaracharya as the absence of internal perturbation when offended or assaulted. Absence of anger has been explained as the calming down of perturbed mind. So this refers to the earlier verse, which is where the reference comes to Akrodha. What is Akrodha? There it has been explained in this way, that absence of anger, control of anger, that might result when offended or assaulted by others. So Krodha might come, Akrodha, that is, that person is not given to such kind of drives or indulges in himself into these passions. does not lose himself. Krodha is like many other tendencies of a human being, it is acquired by the humans. We also see this expression in other animals also, but not as pronounced as human beings. We see cat might get angry, she reacts in a certain way, and a dog might. They express or they show or we can identify. But it is not that rampant, and how it is evolved with many other things with the human being, it is at a totally different level. So, with a certain act of some other person in the world, you might feel or read and experience, but you do not give it a fit and totally lose awareness, your conscience, and what is your duty in that fit. Akrodha. And here, what is being referred to, this kshama, in addition to that ability to calm down a perturbed mind. So kshama, what we generally consider as forgiveness. So it's a virtue, it's an ability, and this virtue rather is so significant, so important, with related to divine characteristic. If sattva has to be there, kshama will be there. That there is no confusion for the individual in reading, in understanding of the offense committed by the other person. But kshama is the ability of that person who is a victim here, or so to say, who have got the cause to be angry, for that matter, and also the ability to lend a harm to the next person or to punish a next person, to have a very punitive action, constrictive action on the other person. Then considering the factors, considering the weakness of the individual, considering the person because he did such thing, debilitated by some other characteristics and elements or factors of his own life, and considering that being kind or being sympathetic or being forgiving, good will be attained, and that person, seeing and mapping this thing, takes the another course other than simply reciprocating in equally frightful action. Kshama. Dhriti, this is another virtue which is called as fortitude, and Shankaracharya explains it in a way, a particular function of the mind which removes the tedium of the body and organs when they become exhausted, and being rejuvenated, by which the body or organs do not feel any fatigue. So, Dhruti is generally translated as endurance. What does Maharaj use the word here? Fortitude, yes, definitely. But this is mental faculty or faculty of the will or the faculty of the intellect. That is called as fortitude. That what we say, that holding on to your intellectual conviction and position and not budging, not giving way to other lure, fear, doubts or cynicism. That faculty is called as dhriti. It is particularly a mental faculty, it is the intellectual faculty, that is dhriti, that is fortitude. So when your body is exhausted, when you are tired, what makes you, what is that ability, what is that element, what is that character of yours to keep you going? That is fortitude, that is endurance. Fortitude rather enables or make people endure. They express this endurance. It is not without fortitude. So fortitude is that. It fortifies that individual, doesn't let it disintegrate or break down. So there is a lot of emotional pressure. There might be slander, there might be some other blackmail, there might be some arm twisting, coercing, manipulation, subjugation. There could be many other aspects where people generally succumb to and find a one way or other, either they quit or they join hands with others. These kinds of action all the time happen. Fortitude, the person who is born of this divine nature, he will have fortitude. He will not budge. That's a great character. Though it's rare, it is altogether not absent. We see people many times showing this exemplary character. That is fortitude, dhritihi, and then shaucham. That is the purity, and Shankaracharya invariably explains it. Yes, the both one, external as well as internal. External with external cleaning agents, like he says here, earth and water, which might be the vogue of day, or maybe herbs, or many other natural such utilities. With the cleaning externally. Yes, external cleaning is definitely the virtue not being kept. It does not signify. Though many times we see such individuals who become like Sri Ramakrishna himself. He tells about the state of the Paramahamsas. So there could be, in that state, they could be like many kinds. They might like Balakvat, etc. He says, so one kind he says is Pishachavat. He doesn't bother and he lives unholy or uncleanly in that fashion. So, but for all individuals, all ordinary individuals, that is the way. Cleanliness is virtue, it must be kept. So, outer purity, that is one thing, shaucham. And shaucham or shuddhi, internally, that he says very particularly, he points out to few things. The cleanliness of mind and intellect, that is the absence of such impurities as trickery, attachment, this crookedness or obsessive attachment, being free of this is mental purity. The purity, this attachment perturbs and adulterates the mind, turbids the mind. So attachment, it fogs and colors your judgment, your reading, your observation. So that cannot be pure mind. Pure mind, when people are too selfish and they are only thinking of their own selfish interests only, they cannot have pure reading, judgment of any other thing. They cannot read, listen, hear or understand anything as it is, because their minds are not pure. They are driven by their own passions. So this is the shaucham, this is the next virtue. Then what is then adroha? Tejaha, Kshama, Dhruti, Shaucham, then Adroha. Adroha is here the absence of hatred or malice towards others. A simple hatred for maybe someone belongs to some other class, maybe they are trading upon your self-interest or becoming competitor, or they pose some kind of threat to you, maybe material or maybe psycho-intellectual, they challenges you, they question you, or they trade upon your ego one way or other, and that person develops a hatred for the likes. Suppose one person behaves with you badly and you blame and you color the whole group of those people with the same brush, and this hatred is manifested. So absence of hatred, absence of malice for other people, that is adroha. Then the next idea is nati manita. So we explained here very clearly that this is absence of haughtiness, that is too much self-esteem, or mana. When it is ati, then it is called as atimana, and not having that is nati manita. Mana, atimana, the person who has that is atimani, and that quality would be called as atimanita. Not having that quality is nati manita. That would be the meaning. So simply put, that excessive don't you know who I am, this idea, that is nati manita. तुम जानते हो मैं कौन हूं, this idea. So everything comes and settles between this entitlement, that I am so and so, therefore it must be my way. You cannot question, you cannot have me this way, whatever the rights, whatever the rules, whatever the norms. But simply put, because I am this, so I will not pay toll. You cannot give me a wrong parking ticket, or I have to be given a VIP pass, etc. And as soon as somebody says, nahi, aap line se aiye, then he loses his wit and control. Don't we see? That is atimanita. The person who is born of divine character, he will not have that. He will not have this adroha, that is hatred or malice. He will not have this atimanita, that too pushing and announcing yourself. Natimanita. Every time, because I am there, I must be given separate VIP protocol. That you must consider me always separately. I am not an ordinary mortal, I am Indra. This idea. And how many Indras are there? You cannot imagine. Everybody. We will see Indians are very bad at that. Swamiji pointed out, this is particular with the slavish nation, the slavish race. Where does this come? This comes from slavery. When you want to become VIP. That's what happens. Everybody wants to be shown himself as exclusive of others. He doesn't belong to his brothers and sisters. No, he is separate. He is better than that. So, that is natimanita. So the person who is born of such character, he will not rest, he will not bank upon this idea. Though he may be born of, he must be endowed with some titles, riches, wealth, position, power, etc., etc. But the real power, real character of that individual rests in him, not on just his accomplishments. And that's why we see also great humble character of people. That's also we see. Many times, many great people, in general also, we see Indians otherwise are known everywhere in the world to be very humble people. It comes from this lack of self-respect, lack of self-recognition, lack of self-belief. It comes from that. So every time this desire to be pose ourselves superior to others, even if the context is not present. So that's what happens. So if the person is born out of such character, endowed with such character, he will be lacking that. So that's what Bhagavan says, Bhavanti sampadam daivim abhijatasya bharata. So the person, He Bharata, particularly uses this word, He Bharata, Hey Indian. Arjuna here, Bharata refers to Arjuna. Bharata way today refers to our country, or Bharat here towards its citizens. So the one who would be born Abhijata, this word, Jata, but Abhijata, many times this word is used, Abhijata. Abhijata means of, born to, suppose this, aristocratic families who are, means, generation wealthy, those people, many times this word is attributed to them. Abhijata. Or maybe this another word we use, Kulin, etc. So who has very well-founded family and history of good people, great people who were born in that lineage, so that person is called as a Kulin. Here Abhijata does not mean that. Here Abhijata simply means the one who is born with such kind of sampada. Bhavanti sampadam daivim, daivi sampad abhijatasya bharata, that would be the person who is born out of that character. So this is here in the 3 verses, Bhagavan explains the daivi sampad, the divine wealth of character. Now, the demoniacal nature is now being stated in this 4th verse. He says, Dambho darpo bhima. Atimanasya is written here. Oh. So there seems to be maybe 2 recensions here. So this is what we have also heard and read. Dambho darpo bhimanasya, abhimana. But here in one version it is written Dambho darpo atimanasya. So nonetheless it doesn't change much. Dambho darpo abhimanasya krodha parushymevacha ajnanam chabhijatasya partha sampadam asurim. So the people who are born of this demoniacal nature, they would be endowed by these kinds of qualities. The first one itself is called as Dambha. This is what we say, that to show off ourselves, that how great I am. I may or may not be evil. So if I am something, okay, even a police PSI, I can show some arrogance. But even though I am not, he might be my far off uncle. Still I am, like dawn I am moving around. Dambha. This ostentatiousness definitely means that you have something and you show off. Definitely, this is dambha. Then darpaha. Darpa is again this excessive pride. That excessive pride, darpa, many times this word has been used with a very stenching smell. So that pride of that individual is so much that it appears to be like a stench. Do you understand? Stench is a very bad, foul smell. That is called a stench. So darpa, to that extent that everybody around him can smell the badness of it, only except that person who is displaying it. Darpaha. That is pride. Getting blind in that pride. Arising from wealth, relatives, etc. Then atimana here or abhimana, that is this pride, haughtiness, as explained earlier. Krodha, that is the anger. That would be their natural way, natural tendency, mainstay of their behavior. That this person is so fragile, so superficial, that he cannot tolerate anything, lives in his own world and just wants his way done and executed. Dambho darpo abhimanasya krodha. Parushya is therefore rudeness, using unkind words. And Shankaracharya here gives some beautiful examples. He says, to speak of a blind person as having eyes. What is rudeness? He gives one example. So, if there is a blind person, so you will rudely remark about his sight. Then, an ugly person as handsome, a lowly born as a born of aristocracy, and so on. So, various ways, even Shankaracharya explains these kinds of rudeness. Maybe that was the limit, or that was the very exemplary of those scenarios or the society he lived. People behave far more rudely, or people are able to behave far more rudely than this. That is rudeness. That is the way of the people who are born out of the Asuri Sampat, demoniacal nature. And then lastly, the Ajnanam. Rather, this would be said the base of everything, this Ajnanam, ignorance, that non-discriminating knowledge, false conception regarding what ought to be and what ought not to be done. That discrimination is completely absent. That Viveka is absent. That what is duty and what is not the duty. So these are the attributes. Avijatasya, one who is destined to have, destined for what? The Asuri Sampat. Asuri nature. Demoniacal nature. This is the fourth verse. Here in the fifth verse, so what we see here in the fourth verse, these few characteristics are mentioned here, signifying such nature. What would be? It would be dambha, darpa, abhimana, krodha, parushyam, that is rudeness, and ajnana. So this person is materialistic, only care for his own selfish interest, and only want his own way to be employed. This is what the person they look like. They are the people who are born out of the Asuri Sampat. Now the point is, every one of us have some element of goodness and some element of not that good. That is understood. That is true. Point is that Once we understand why these virtues are bad, they are not bad just because Bhagavan Sri Krishna is telling it. They are bad intrinsically, and they will not lead to attain any substantial, everlasting, permanent happiness, fulfillment, contentment, or any higher objectives of life. You will have to make way for them. You will have to leave them. That is the point. They cannot be philosophy. I might have dambha or darpa or abhimana or krodha or parushyam or ajnana. That cannot be my way. Meaning that I will have to reconsider my position. I will have to find out the strategy. I will have to go into this self-observation and self-contemplation and see why I do that. Why my doing this is intrinsically wrong and bad. How I am losing, how I am harming myself, how I cannot invest into this policy, go along with this. That in long run it is not profitable. And I will have to build up my change, my course correction from that deeper level. And also try to positively develop and cultivate the good qualities, the Daivi qualities which are mentioned earlier in 3 verses. Starting with Abhayam Sattva Sanshuddhi. So, and even those qualities are good, they are not good because some book says so, some person says so. They are not. They are good because they are good intrinsically by their own merit, by their own virtue. Not because some society, some set of people, some set of values and some set of principles, people recognize them as such because these are good things. We will consider you bad if you do like this. It is not like that. That's why Gita is Moksha Shastra, Moksha Vidya. It is relates to Adhyatma. It is not the Dharma or religion because it deals in do's and don'ts. It doesn't go or venture into principles are not much of concern for the Dharma. Actions or particulars are Dharma is more interested in that. Adhyatma is particularly dealing with the principle. And that's why so open language Bhagavad Gita uses. They do not come in the form of dictums कि आप ऐसा नहीं करेंगे आप नरक में जाएंगे. It doesn't use that language. आप ऐसा कीजिए तो आप स्वर्गों को चले जाएंगे. So here you course of action and there is a fruit. This language, the people who are dealing, the subjects, the language of the principles cannot be like that. So principles are open for everyone to understand and exploit to best of their advantage. That's why it is Shastra. Moksha Shastra. So, in the next verse, Bhagavan says, Daivi Sampad Vimokshaya Nibandhaya Surimata. Nibandhaya Asuri Mata. Even Bhagavan is saying how wonderful, how liberal the attitude is. He himself says that I have become everything. I am the Lord, God of the universe. And still he expresses in this way that this is my opinion. He expresses himself still like that this is my opinion. He doesn't say that you are compelled to, you are bound by this, then otherwise you go to hell. He says, Daivi Sampad Vimokshaya, this Daivi Sampad, this divine nature, it leads to emancipation of the soul. Vimokshaya. And Asuri Nibandhaya, it goes for bondage. It will create bondage. It is based it is rooted in ignorance. It is rooted in selfishness. It is rooted in materiality. It will not attain you spirituality. So, Daivi Sampat, even to cultivate virtue, so it is not an external behavior, try to understand it. It is not an external behavior of the things. Behavior of persons, people. It is not the code of conduct which is being talked about. It is the character of the person, that is what is being talked here, not the external conduct. Your external conduct is going. So, the person even who is going to cultivate those virtues in his own individuality, in his own being, in his own person, he will have to come to understand how that virtue, practicing that virtue is right. Something, if somebody believes and take it for granted, doing this itself is right, then that person has not understood it. That person has not understood it, then sattva is still far thing for that person. He is just doing it without understanding. He has not, so that virtue becomes very natural disposition of that person. That is what we call growth of the individual. That he is not putting on that cloak, that I do not get angry, or I am very polite, I am not rude. Nonetheless, he is totally selfish fellow. It amounts to nothing, it doesn't become virtue. You cannot put it as a cloak. So, Daivi Sampad Vimokshaya Nibandhaya Surimata. So, how something it will, so it is not some blind thing that you do this, you will get the moksha. If you do not do this and do act in the otherwise, then it will go to bondage. It is not a blind idea. That person has to come to that realization. How does this work? So what is the idea of moksha itself? Moksha is not some kind of some sweet fruit you get to eat and you become immortal. That is not the idea. So what that individual is doing in practicing and cultivating that virtue, that he has to come the full realization, and now that idea is fully integrated into his thought and action. And here Bhagavan says, Ma shucha sampadam daivim abhijatosi pandava. So Shankaracharya mentions here, maybe Arjuna is thinking that what kind of person I am. So whether I am born to this divine characteristic, divine nature, or demoniacal nature. So Krishna indeed, through the example of Arjuna, he says that yes, Arjuna, don't worry, ma shuchaha, that do not grieve, that you are born abhijatosi, he Pandava, he Arjuna, you are born to this Daivi Sampadam, you are born to this divine nature. Here we will take one or two verses. Says the next verse, the verse number 6. Dvau bhuta sargau lokesmin daiva asura evacha daivo vistarashah prokta asuram parthame shrunu. So here he says bhuta sargau. Sarga means as if the class, two kinds of beings, asmin loke, in this world, they are created. Thou bhuta sargau. Sarga, that is, they are created. In this world, there are two kinds of creation. Creation is Sarga, of beings. There are two kinds of creation of beings, Bhuta Sarga. The divine and the demoniacal, Daiva and Asura Evacha. The divine has been spoken, Daivo Vistarasha Prokta. The divine has been spoken elaborately. Now, hear about the demoniacal from me. So, demoniacal has not been explained much because he said just it in one verse. So, this whole rest of this chapter, now he would be trying to extol. Up to the end of the chapter, the demoniacal nature is being presented as the qualities of creatures. When this is directly pursued, it becomes possible to eschew it, so that you should not become like it. That is the idea. So that considering that if you would be person born out of divine characteristics, you would not need to know what is the demoniacal characteristics. You would not need to know. You would be only bothered about what is to be done, because that would be clear for you and you would be going for action, what is needed to be done, and you would be engrossed in it. That person would not have any requirement of knowing what is this diabolical nature. But the person who would be lacking it, majorly, they would be required to know this, to bring in that light and shine in their heart that they are wrong somewhere, and these people, with the help of this knowledge, would be able to observe and analyze their behavior and consider a course of correction, consider self-rectification. That's why now Bhagavan in detail, in various ways, and many times that language I find very amusing and so very humorous. So this is what is being told here. Dvau, two in number, are the kinds of the Bhuta Sarga, creation of beings of men. Sarga is derived from Srij, that is, Srij से सृजन धातु, सृजन इत्यादि शब्द आते हैं. Srij से सर्ग शब्द आता है. In the sense that which is created. The persons themselves who are created with the natures of gods and demons are being spoken of as if the creation of beings. So these, the two creations, so as if these two kinds of beings, they are the creations of this Prakriti, which Upanishads also, it also comes in Upanishads, etc. So these are these Daiva and Asura are the two creations which is being spoken of. So now this Asuri Pravritti or this demoniacal nature is being told extensively. So this next verse is, this is the very very telling one, which clearly shows what is the distinction, what is the nature of such people, or what happens if that is the nature. So this is clearly, this is not a divine attribute, this is far away from it, and we cannot rear it, we cannot cultivate it, or we cannot let it pass, we must recover from it. So this verse says, Pravrittim cha nivrittim cha janana vidura suraha na shaucham napi chacharo na satyam teshu vidyate. What does they say? So this verse says that these people, they do not know what is to be done, what is not to be done. They do not understand pravritti, what is to be done, with regard to which is the means to human ends, the objectives of this life. And nivrittim, what is not to be done, the opposite of the former, from which source of evil one should desist. So that is nivritti, that you should part away from certain things because it will give rise to evil. So that would be nivritti. So they do not understand both things. Not only they do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done, they also lack the shaucham, that is purity, the achara, that is good conduct, satyam, the lack of this truthfulness is not there. The satyam teshu vidyate. So this is what the first verse says. Pravrittim cha nivrittim cha janana vidurasura. Those kinds of people. Vidurasura, that is, it is not vidura, it is viduhu asuraha. Combined together, it has become vidurasuraha. It doesn't refer to vidur. Viduhu means they do not know. Asuraha, janaha, asuraha. Those kind of people. They particularly lack in this understanding that what is to be done, what is not to be done, what is pravritti, what is nivritti. Na shaucham, na pi cha achara. Na shaucha is there, that purity is there, or achara is there. Na satyam teshu vidyate. There is no respect of truth in those people. And what do they say? Asatyam apratishtamte jagad ahur anishwaram aparaspara sambhutam kimanyat kama haitukam. This is what they say. What they say? That this whole world is unreal. Apratishtam, it is baseless. They are entrenched into this asatyam, falsehood. And they say this, there is no God in the world. Jagad ahu anishwaram, there is no God in the world. So these are God-forsaken, godless people. Aparaspara sambhutam, this whole world is created by the conjugation of the opposite sexes. That's what they believe. That is how the whole universe exists, because of that. And kimanyat kama haitukam, he says that what else could be the objectives of the life other than pacifying their own desires. This is the language, this is the mindset, this is the asuras. We can see many around us, people very boldly, as if they are something which is great or modern. They talk this language. Aparaspara sambhutam kimanyat kama haitukam. So what more is the purpose of the life? So Sri Ramakrishna went to meet probably Bankim Chandra, and Bankim Chandra had said this. Sri Ramakrishna, he was particularly interested in this one question. One question. He was very, and that is very significant. How he brings everything to that question. And we see that when he goes to meet great peoples of that time, and he invariably asks this question. And therefore we see that his whole teaching, this is like fundamental bedrock. And not only it is very particular to Sri Ramakrishna, it is also particular to the Vedanta. Vedanta Upanishad asks this question, Kena jatani jivanti. Sri Ramakrishna paraphrase, as it were, in this way. He says, what is the goal of human life? This is that one question. This is that one question he asks everyone. Everything he condenses into that one question. All philosophy, all theory. What is the goal? What is the objective? What is the one end of human life? Manushya जीवन का उद्दिष्ट क्या है? So fundamental, this question is for Sri Ramakrishna. It is the soul upon which he wants to have any communication, any dialogue with over any other person. His whole teaching therefore stands the teachings which he wants to teach to the world on this bedrock. What is the goal of human life? मनुष्य जीवन का उद्देश्य क्या है? And Bankim Chandra has probably, he had said, it is on record, he said what? That eat, drink and produce children. This is what Bankim, Sri Ramakrishna was very annoyed. He says, like your name, you are also of such crooked nature. Bankim means crooked, which is bent, that is Bankim. He says, you are not a... He didn't say same thing to Vidyasagar or many other people, but he was annoyed. There at that time, so Devendranath Tagore, he was a Brahmo leader, Adi Brahmo leader, very venerated, considered spiritual by many other people at that time. What does Sri Ramakrishna's observation is? He went to his house, and at that time he sees, he comes back, he didn't say anything to him. He says, Sri Ramakrishna's observation is, he has 14 children. Even though at that time that was quite a norm, and still Sri Ramakrishna says, he is even advocating to the householder that one or two children. Imagine, not today. At that time, Sri Ramakrishna had that philosophy. One or two children. Then husband and wife should live like this brother and sister. So, this is the language, and here Shankaracharya makes this comment. This is the view of the materialists. The material Jadavadi, they speak like this. Aparaspara sambhutam kimanyat kama haituka. Bankim has said it, that eat, drink and procreate. That is the aim of life. What more? And Sri Ramakrishna was annoyed. So unless your life is properly integrated, properly viewed, and this is that masterpiece, that keystone, which is upon which whole philosophy and outlook and its architecture is built upon that, then there is no respect, there is no security, neither for the individual nor for the society. If this world has to be godless and there are no higher objectives of our life and material itself becomes the objective, we become totally materialist. Then we can see how the play of the forces of these passions and how self-destructive it would be. So it cannot be the philosophy of sustenance, of permanence, of everlasting peace, happiness and security. That's why materialism alone cannot win. Materialism itself is self-destructive. That is the idea, that is the view of the Hindus, of the Vedanta, of the culture which has survived thousands of years. This has proven over the test of time. Materialism cannot be the way. So here we will take the break. So Bhagavan Sri Krishna, he will speak on the next ideas, continuation with this verse. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat श्रीरामकृष्णार्पणमस्तु।